Hello Biology 100 students, and welcome to the Biology 100 Flex Biology course, Introduction to Concepts in Human Health and Biology. This course is an online course which is designed to be delivered at a distance. You might live in the area of Columbia College, and you might simply be taking this version of the course not because you live far away, but because you're nervous about coming into the college and contracting COVID. So this course is designed for that as well. So this course is what's known as a flex course. It's delivered online, and it is designed in such a way that if you do happen to live in another time zone, let's say you're currently living in Southeast Asia or Asia or Africa, for instance, you have the option of completing the course activities according to your time schedule. So that's the difference between Biology 100 Flex and Biology 100 other courses, which are either in-person or online synchronous. This course is designed to be an asynchronous course, which means you can do it in your own time, as opposed to an online synchronous course where you have to be online at a certain hour of the day, and the professor will lecture to you over the internet. Okay, so a flex course is designed so that you don't have to be online at any particular part of the day. My name is Greg Doheny. I'm your instructor. That's my name. This is sort of what I look like here, and this is my email address. I'm one of the instructors at Columbia College. This video that I'm describing here is referring specifically to the lecture section of the course. You may or may not know that Biology 100 has both a lecture component and a lab component. The lecture component is meant to be the theory of biology, and the lab component is meant to give you a little bit of some practical skills in biology, using microscopes, using test tubes and burettes and various equipment, looking at anatomical models of the human body, and doing other things that are practical, sort of common sense, practical, hands-on exercises for biology. Now, combined, the two sections of the course are worth 4 credits, whereas a regular course that's just a lecture course that has no lab would be worth 3 credits. So this course is worth 4 credits because it has a lab component. So we have roughly 3 hours of lecturing per week plus a 2-hour lab. Now, because this is the asynchronous version of the course, which is meant to be done at a distance, the lab is also done online, and there is a separate video lecture for how to do the lab exercises. But it's basically the same thing. You go to the Columbia College website, you log in, and then you either log into the lecture section of the course or you log into the lab section of the course, and you do the exercises more or less on your own time. We will talk about the fact that we'll be doing a weekly quiz on Thursdays, and we'll be doing a weekly lab exercises on Wednesdays. So you can do the work anytime you want. During the week you can watch lecture videos and you can read the materials for the lab, as long as you complete the lab exercise on Wednesday and the quiz on Thursday. All right, so hopefully I'm your lecturer for the theoretical part of the course, for the lecture part of the course. Hopefully I'm your lab instructor as well. Occasionally the registration will put somebody into one of my labs that's not in my lecture section, or you will have me for a lecturer and somebody else for a lab instructor. That happens occasionally. It's not supposed to, but sometimes it's unavoidable. So if you're in that situation, if you are in that situation and you have a different lecturer and a different lab instructor, please email me and let me know, because I'm supposed to know that, but I might have missed it in the confusion of starting the course. I might not have been informed about that. So if you're in that situation, please email me and let me know, and I'll make a note of that. All right, now as I said, this course, both the lecture section and the lab section, this video refers to the lecture section. It is designed to be delivered online over the internet, and we're doing this using 3 different computer programs which are designed to help students learn over the internet. Specifically, they're called course management programs that are used by teachers to help deliver learning materials to students at a distance online. So the first program is called the CAMS program. The second one is called the Moodle program, and the third one is called Microsoft Teams. CAMS is basically the program that you're in when you first log into the Columbia College website. Now, if you go to the Columbia College website at www.columbiacollege.ca, you'll notice that on the upper right-hand side of the page, there's a login menu. If you pull that menu down, you'll see that you have two options. One of the options says Student Portal. The other option says Moodle. If you log in with your login information to the student portal, you will be in the CAMS program. And really the only reason you need to be in the CAMS program is to look at your grades. You will be able to see your grades on the Moodle program as well, but the grades that you see on the Moodle program are not your official grades. There may be some reason why I need to alter the grades that you get on the Moodle program. I won't go into the details, but occasionally, you know, somebody says I have a doctor's appointment. Here's a note proving that I have a doctor's appointment, so I have to miss quiz 3, and then I'll say something like, my usual remedy for that is to say, okay, then quiz 3 is worth 1% of your mark. I'm going to add 1% of your mark to the midterm because you missed quiz 3, and therefore I have to adjust the mark of your midterm. The adjusted mark will not appear on the Moodle page, but it will appear on the CAMS page, which is where you find your official grades. So, if you go to the Columbia College website, you log into your student portal, you're in the CAMS program, and then you'll see that you have a list of your courses, the courses that you're registered in. If you go and look at your marks in the CAMS program, those are your official grades. Most of the course learning materials, the lectures and the quizzes and the reading assignments, will be delivered to you through the Moodle program. So if you go to the Columbia College website, again, www.columbiacollege.ca, and you pull down the pull-down menu and you log into the Moodle program, you will then get a menu of courses that you're registered in at Columbia College, and you click on Biology 100 Lecture, or you click on Biology 100 Lab, and that will take you to a new page, which I'm referring to collectively as the Moodle page. The Moodle program, you will see a long written page. Basically, it's a website that has links to the reading materials and the quizzes and the assignments and so on. So that's where you will spend most of your time for this course, on the Moodle page. Now, once a week, I'll be holding office hours, which are live in real time. So because this is a flex course, most of the time you will not be interacting with me in real time. You'll be watching videos that I'm narrating, or you'll be reading assignments that I've given you, or you can always email me at my email address. But if you want to talk to me face-to-face, as it were, we have to do it using some kind of a computer camera program. And so the one that we use mostly at Columbia College is called Microsoft Teams. And so if you go to the Moodle page, you'll see that there's a link that shows you how to download and use Microsoft Teams. So my office hours will be on Mondays from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock. I will have my computer camera on, and I'll be sitting at my desk doing marking and other work that I have to do. If you want to talk to me, just click on the on the Microsoft Teams program, and it will bring you to my computer, and then we can talk face to face. And when I say face to face, I mean just in real time. We don't have to. I will have my computer camera on, so you can see me, but you do not have to have your camera on if you don't want to turn it on. Other students it's kind of, when I have the office hour, it kind of turns into a sort of a chat room, so there may be 2 or 3 students in there asking me questions at the same time. So bear in mind that if you have your camera on, the other students can see you. If not, they can just hear your voice. But that's how the office hours are going to work. We're going to do virtual online office hours. which is the only time that you'll have to interact with me live. Now, the office hours are not compulsory. They're completely for your benefit. I'd love to talk to you about biology, but you don't have to talk to me during the office hours. It's entirely for your benefit. If you're confused about something and you've tried reading the materials, or you've watched the lectures and you're still confused about something, you can come and talk to me live on the office hour. So that's the purpose of the Microsoft Teams program. Okay, so to get started, you go to the Columbia College website, and then you pull down the menu on the upper right-hand side of the page. And as I said, you see that you have two options. One of them says Student Portal, and one of them says Moodle. If you log into the Student Portal, you're in the CAMS program. If you log into Moodle, you're in the Moodle program. Okay, so let's assume that we're going to log into the Moodle program and find out what we're supposed to be doing for the course this week. So we log into the Moodle. It gives you a login window like this. You enter your username and the password, and it will take you to a home page that looks like this. Sorry, and then you enter your login information here. The window that I just showed you is what the login looks like for the student portal. This is what the login window looks like for the Moodle program. Notice that there are two sides. This is the one for you, right, and this is the one that I log into when I want to manipulate the Moodle page. Okay, so on the left is your login window. And if you log in there, it will take you to a menu of courses that you're registered in, and then you just click on, either you click on the Biology 100 lecture, or you click on the Biology 100 lab. You'll see them both on the Moodle page. So if you click on this, it will take you to the official Moodle page for Biology 100 Flex. You'll see this picture at the top. It's a famous anatomical drawing that was drawn by Leonardo da Vinci. And once you're on this page, you simply scroll downwards and start reading. And so there's quite a lot of written material on that page. We have to do a lot of reading and writing in university. That's just the nature of the studies. So just start reading. It will explain how to get started in the course, explain everything you need to know right there. You'll notice that there'll be a preamble, about a page of written material explaining how the course works. And then below that, you will have 13 weeks of studies laid out for you. So the course is organized into 13 weeks of lectures and labs. And week number 14, so we number the weeks: week 1, week 2, week 3. Week 1 begins on January 10th. Week 2 begins on January 17th in this case, and so on. So then week 14 is for the final exam. So we basically, the course runs for 14 weeks, with the 14th week being for the exams. Now, if you scroll downwards on the Moodle page, you'll see that every week I tell you exactly what to do and provide links to how to get to the material, links to get to the lectures, links to get to the written materials, and links to get to the quizzes. So here, for example, is what you would see if you logged into week 4 and saw that we were discussing the skeletal system, and it would tell you there's a brief preamble which tells you what we're talking about that week. And then there's a list here that says what to do this week, and then number 1, it says watch lectures part 1 and lecture 6 part 1 and lecture 6 part 2. Notice that those texts that say lecture 6 part 1 and part 2 are in blue. They're highlighted in blue, not black the way the rest of the text is. The blue writing are links, hot links as they're called. So if you click on those links, they will take you to the lectures, which are stored on YouTube, by the way. Okay, now later on in the week, you will have to click on a test. You click on that, and it will take you to the front-facing page of a quiz, and then you click on another button to begin the quiz. That you'll be doing that sometime on Thursday. Just ignore what it says here about Wednesday, because that's from another course. All right. So as I said, the blue links are texts, right? And so for every week, you just click on whatever link you're supposed to be doing. And it's fairly simple to get to the materials. Right now, if you click on a lecture, the link for a lecture, it will take you to the YouTube video. and just click on Begin. Now notice that you have the option here of watching this video on the YouTube page. I recommend that you actually do that, because if you go to the YouTube page, you have the option of opening up the transcript. Okay, so these three dots down here at the bottom of the page, if you click on them, one of the options that you get will say Open Transcript, right, or Turn on Transcript. If you turn on the transcript, you see all of the words transcribed into written words on the side of the page. So if I'm talking too fast, all you have to do is turn on the transcript and you can read. You can pause the video and you can actually read if you're having trouble understanding my spoken words. And so that's one of the advantages of storing the instructional videos on YouTube, is that YouTube will supply you with a simultaneous translation. All right, so every week you go down and you just simply scroll down and see, what am I supposed to be doing in week 1? What am I supposed to be doing in week 2? You click on the blue links and you complete the assignments one at a time. There is a questions forum where you can ask me questions in written form. Bear in mind that if you use the questions forum, I will be able to see your written question, but so will all the other students be able to see it. But the advantage is that I will then answer the question in writing, and all of the other students will be able to see my answer as well. So you probably will end up, if you ask me questions on the questions forum, you're doing the other students a favor, because possibly many of them might be too shy to ask that question in public. But because you were bold enough to ask it in public, then they all get to see the answer, so they'll be very appreciative to you. Now, as I said, we have a weekly quiz every Thursday. You have the entire day to do the quiz. You have, let me rephrase that. You have the entire day to begin the quiz, so you can begin the quiz anytime, but once you begin it, you have only 30 minutes to complete it. So part of the idea of having a flexible schedule for a flex course is that you have an entire 24-hour period to complete the assignment, to submit the assignment basically, or to do the work. But once you start it, you're on a timer, right? So you have all day Thursday to write the quiz. However, once you started the quiz, you're on a timer, a 30-minute timer to complete it. So you go into the quiz and you're not immediately in the quiz, so don't worry that, or don't think that if you click on the blue link you'll automatically start the timer. You won't. There's another window where you have to begin the quiz that you have to click before you can begin. And notice that you have it tells you how much time you have to complete it. Many of the questions, probably most of the questions in the weekly quizzes are multiple choice. So you click on a list of options, for example, and so here we're asking what type of microscope took this image, and then you have a choice of confocal laser scanning, bright field scanning electron microscope, or transmission electron microscope, or immunofluorescence. The correct answer is actually scanning electron microscope, so the answer that's been marked here is incorrect. And then the next day, after the quiz is closed, you know, the quiz opens on Thursday. We say that it's open, meaning that you have the option of writing at any time on Thursday. The option of writing the quiz then closes on Thursday at midnight. Basically on Friday at midnight it closes. And then you can go back and look at your correct answers. You can look at the answer. You can see which answers you got wrong, and you can also see the correct answers. And I advise you to read the correct answers, because the same questions will often appear on future quizzes. So it's in your best interest to see which questions you got right and wrong, and if you got the answers wrong, then you look up the right answer, because that question will probably appear again on a future quiz. Okay, so you can review the answers. This is the answer I chose, it was wrong, and then it will tell you, the computer will actually tell you that the correct answer was SEM, which is that one. All right, so what we're going to be doing each week is I have assigned, I've given you a link to a free textbook, which is published by an open source publishing company called OpenStax. So you don't have to worry about buying a textbook for this course. This is one of the things that we do at Columbia College. Many of the courses use free textbooks to save you some money. We understand and appreciate that it's fairly expensive to be a student, so we try to minimize the cost as much as we can. So you'll be given a reading assignment for this free textbook, but you will also I'll also speak the material in videos. So each week you will be assigned one or more videos to watch. These are lectures, voice over PowerPoint presentation like I'm doing now. This is not optional, this is compulsory, but you can watch that anytime. You have the entire week to watch the videos, as long as you write the quiz on Thursday and do the lab assignments on Wednesday. All right, so you're assigned to watch some lectures. If you want to see the slides that I use in the lectures without having to listen to all of the narration, I will also be posting the slideshow itself each week, so you can review the slides, but that's optional. It's not compulsory. You can read the chapter. The book is free. Reading the chapter is optional. I recommend it, but it's not required because most people find it easier to learn things if somebody simply tells you those things. Most people, including myself, find it a little bit more difficult to learn things by reading. Although if you learn things by reading, you're at a distinct advantage because most of the information that you'll get in your career as a scientist, if you're going to become a scientist, most of the information you get, 99% of it is going to be from reading. Once you graduate from university, that's basically the last time in your life that you'll ever learn something by having somebody explain it to you. From then on, you'll have to learn things by reading manuals, reading research papers, reading and so on. So it is to your advantage to become very good at reading, very good at understanding things from reading. That will give you an advantage all the way through your life over people who have to have things explained verbally. Nevertheless, you're paying a lot of money to go to university now, to go to Columbia College, and that's why we're not only providing written material, but we're providing lectures. We're explaining things to you, and because you've paid a lot of money to learn things the easiest possible way that you can learn them, which is to have somebody simply explain it to you. Okay, so you can read the chapters, but that is optional. It's not required. I do assign some practice problems from the free textbook, but that too is optional. You don't have to do those, but the answers to those problems are in the textbook, so you can check and see how you're doing. Now, every week I'm giving you a list of vocabulary from the book. You'll notice that at the end of each chapter that I assign, there's a section called vocabulary. Vocabulary means it gives you the words and then it explains what the words mean. You do need to know what these words mean. So learning the vocabulary is not optional. Some of the vocabulary will appear in the quizzes. So you should make liberal use of the vocabulary section at the end of every chapter. You can attend the office hours and talk to me in person. This is optional. Do that on Monday using the Microsoft Teams program. On Wednesday, you must complete the lab exercises. This is not optional, it's compulsory. There's another video that is associated with the lab section of the course. You should get started watching that video and then get started reading and watching the lab materials as soon as possible. Some of you have been students before, many of you have not. So if you haven't been a student before, I'm going to give you some good advice, which is that the courses university courses tend to start out slowly, where you have lots of spare time, but they kind of pick up speed very quickly, so that by the time you get to the third or fourth week, you're starting to feel pressed for time. There's so much material to learn, that you've already heard about, so much new material to learn. So my advice is to work very hard during the first 2 weeks to try and get as far ahead as you possibly can, because by the time you get to the end of the semester, you will feel overwhelmed. I guarantee you will feel overwhelmed. Everybody does. I know that very well because I was a student for a long time and took many degrees, so I understand very well the way the university system feels, the way the college and university courses feel, and I always felt overwhelmed towards the end of the semester, into panic mode, a nervous wreck. One way to avoid that is to do the work regularly and do it as soon as you have access to it. So as soon as you start having access to the lecture and the lab materials during the first 2 weeks of class, immediately work as hard as you possibly can to get as far ahead as you possibly can. If you're able to do that, I guarantee that you will not regret it. Okay, so on Wednesdays, complete the lab exercise. You should already start, we're not actually doing real labs for the first 2 weeks. The first week there's no lab, the second week there's a practice lab, and then the third week we do our first lab that's for credit. That means that your duties for the lab are a bit light in the first 2 weeks, and so that would be a good time to get a jump on the lab to start working in advance. All right, so then you work on the lecture materials as well, and every Thursday do the quiz. This is not optional. So watching the videos is compulsory, not optional. Doing the lab material is compulsory, not optional. Doing the quiz on Thursday is mandatory, not optional. And you have the option of leaving me questions in the questions form. So that is not compulsory, that's totally up to you. How does the course break down? So as I said, there is a lecture section, which is what this video is about, and there's a lab section. Within the lecture section, we will have 10 of these weekly quizzes, one every week, worth 1% each. We'll have a pre-midterm exam, which is worth 5%. We'll have a midterm exam, which is worth 20%, and a final exam, which is 40%. This combined gives you the 75% that the lecture section of the course is worth. The lab section of the course is worth only 25% of your grade, but Columbia College, like all colleges and universities, has a rule that you have to pass both the lecture section of the course and the lab section of the course in order to pass the course. That means that out of the 25% that the lab is worth, the lab is not very hard, it's just sort of tedious and you have to do the work, but it's not terribly challenging work. You just have to do it. So the lab work is not terribly challenging, it is time consuming, but you do have to do it, and you have to get at least 12.5% of the 25% that is available for the lab, or you will fail the entire course, regardless of how well you did on the lecture section. You could get all 75% of the lecture section, and if you ended up getting 8% in the lab, you would still fail. So as horrible as that is, that's the rule. Most colleges and universities have the same rule, that you must pass the lab section and the lecture section both in order to pass the course. Okay, so finally there's one other thing I have to mention. The quizzes, the quizzes and the lab exercises and the pre-midterm can be done over a 24-hour period. So for the pre-midterm, you can do it anytime on the Thursday of the 5th week, I believe it is. Once you start the timer, you're given 2 hours to complete the test, but you can start the test anytime during the Thursday of week 5, I believe it is. And so the quizzes, the same. You have a whole day to complete them. Once you start, the timer begins, but you can start them anytime on Thursday. Lab exercises, you can start anytime on Wednesday. Now, the exception to this rule is the midterm and the final exam, which we must all write at the same day, at the same time. So the reason for that, obviously, is that we can't have, for exercises and exams and quizzes that are worth a lot of marks, we can't have one person see the questions and then tell their friends about it later on, right? So if one person writes the quiz early, one person writes the midterm early, and then their friends wait until later, and then the person who wrote it early tells their friends what's on it. So obviously we can't allow that. So everybody has to write everyone has to write the midterm exam and the final exam at the same time. Generally, I try to, assuming people are in Vancouver or in or around Vancouver, I try to set it at an hour when everybody's home and not working, which is usually 6 to 8 p.m. Right? So the midterm and the final exam will probably be at 6 to 8 p.m. on week 6, I believe, and week 14 on a day that we agree on. But if you're in a different time zone, if you're overseas, if you're in Southeast Asia or you're in Africa, for instance, your day is reversed relative to Vancouver. And so for those people, I offer an early exam. So there will be the regular exam, midterm and final, from 6 to 8 p.m. Vancouver time. But there will also be an early exam from midnight to 2 a.m. or from midnight to 3 a.m. Vancouver time. It's not the same exam. The early exam is never the same exam. There'll be two different different but equally difficult versions of the exams. It's just that one of them is for people who are living in another time zone, and the regular one is for people who are in or around Vancouver. Okay, so just bear in mind that for most of this course, you can complete the materials on more or less your own schedule. You can do the work anytime you want, as long as you submit the work on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and you have the entire 24-hour period, Wednesday or Thursday, to submit it. The exception to this rule is the lectures, the midterm and the final exams from the lecture section of the course, which we all must do at the same time of day. So we'll be organizing that later in the semester. All right, so that's how the course works. Now I would advise you to please go to the Moodle page, log into the Moodle page for this course, and start reading the lectures and how they work, and start watching the lectures, and go to the Moodle page for the labs and start watching them and seeing how they work. And get as far ahead as you can during the first 2 weeks, because the course will seem you probably will feel very overwhelmed by about week 4 or 5, and that feeling of being pressed for time will continue until the end of the course. So good luck to you. I hope you learned something. Even if you're taking this course as an elective and you have absolutely no interest in biology, I hope you learned something that's interesting. It's always a gift to learn something new, and I hope you enjoy it and learn something new. All right, good luck to you.